Hello and welcome to the first lecture for NodeJs. My name is Andrzej Gajduk. I will be your teacher in this course. This is the first time I'm doing a lecture fully online without any interaction with the students. So bear with me there. I think I need some time to get used to everything. Now, Node.js is the first time where you will be programming the backend. And the goal for today is to get an idea of what does it mean when we say backend programming, or also known as server-side programming. Then I'm going to, and by the end of this course, you'll be able to write a fully functioning application that has a backend or a server side, and also with your prior knowledge, you can also write the front end. So kind of you can already write a pretty complete application. And in the next course, you will learn about databases, and then you have all the major components for writing applications. Um, yeah, so I'm going to try to split up the lecture in as many small parts as possible, so that you can follow one part and then continue to the next easily. Um, so I think that's enough introduction. So we're just going to jump into it. So Node.js week 1. We're going to start off with some review of what you have learned so far. Now, if this was a live lecture, I would ask you to name concepts that you have learned. Since it's not, I have to just do the review on my own. Basically, for this course, you will need almost all of your JavaScript knowledge that you have gathered in the previous 3 courses. And in the next 5-10 minutes, I just want to run you through the most important things. So, first of all, and I think maybe the most important one is the use of callbacks. So now think for yourself for a second. Why do we use callbacks when we are writing in JavaScript? I'll give you 5 minutes. So the question is why do we need callbacks when writing JavaScript applications? Okay, if you thought to yourself that we need callbacks, obviously, because when there is some long-running application, long-running function, we do not want to block the user from clicking buttons and seeing updates on the UI while this long-running functionality uh, finishes. For example, of long-running functionality can be fetching data from the server, but it in reality it can be anything that takes a bit longer, that the user needs to be able still to use the UI in the time that the event is processing. So that's the main reason for callbacks. Another reason is sometimes we just don't know when the functionality will be triggered or when the response will come back. And that's the example with event listeners. So that's another reason to use callbacks. And I'm just going to drop here one example of a callback. So we have a function that says say hello. It takes an event, and then I just log something, and then I attach this event to the document body uh, on any key press, and then just pass this function as a callback. So callbacks are basically parameters that you can pass to other functions such as event listeners, and then they get executed when certain things happen. In this case, when a key is pressed, but also can be when a user clicks a button or when a server finishes with a request or things like that. I'm just going to execute this real quick. And if you see, if I start pressing buttons, yeah, it's detecting the buttons that I'm pressing and writing them to the console. So this should be crystal clear by now. If this is not clear, please go and review the callback code so that you have a good understanding of this, because we are going to use this in this course a lot. Now, to iterate on this, you can, this is the older notation where you can declare a function separately from where it is used. Of course, I could have dropped this function in here as well, and usually that's done in combination with the arrow notation. I'm just gonna drop the code in here. So now this is the same code from above, but now the function is not named and it's not like separate with a function, but it's what is known as arrow function, where it's inline and there is no name. So it just has one parameter, and then it logs in one line to the console. So this is what you'll see a lot often nowadays as people are moving away from this old way of writing code. This is shorter and easier to read once you get used to it, and it does the same thing. So if I run this now again, yeah. Oh, now it's running 2 times because I attached 2 event listeners. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. So this is the same thing. This is only with a different notation, but you should know both notations because you're going to see code with both notations during the course. Yeah. So now this is simple. If we want, let's try another example where we are passing another parameter to this event handler. So by definition, the event listeners, they always get one parameter, which is the event that happened, which, for example, has some data around that event. For example, if it's a mouse click, it will tell you which button was it, was the left or the right button. And if it's a key, then it can tell you which key was pressed. And that's what I'm using here to print it to the console. But of course, this callback is not limited to those parameters. It can have more parameters added to it, and then they can be passed and they can be tied to any value that you have. So this is also something that you should understand. So I have here a function that takes in 2 parameters. One is the event and another extra parameter that comes from the context where the event listener is actually defined. So I can pass any parameter or any data that I would like here extra when using this function. If I just run this now and start pressing some button, yeah. So you see Andre pressed some letters, and I guarantee you those are the letters that I'm pressing on my keyboard. It's working correctly. And yeah, so if there are any questions about this, drop them on the lecture at Sunday on the live talk. And for now, I think this is enough reviewing from JavaScript. And in the next lecture, we are going to jump into backend. Thank you very much.